Hello there. I can introduce myself as the Minister of Darkness. In this video, we will go in a sort of a little travel where we are going to discover and release many of hidden secrets and hidden stories that really confuse the humanity. So get ready, and as I love to say, hello and welcome to my world. Time, one of the most mysterious secrets in history. Albert Einstein thought that he gave us a key for this question, but the truth is, he didn't. In 1905, the humanity thought that physics problems had come to an end, and the human being had answered all questions. And then, a man appeared, 26 years old, sitting alone in his desk, believing in his vision and his doubts. That is surely Albert Einstein, who gave us the theory of special relativity in 1915. This theory has made big changes in humanity and in our way of analyzing and thinking. And this started with scientists and writers too. And the world had known a big revolution. First time I heard about time travel was in a movie, and then in a video game, and of course in many books and comic one that I have read as a child. Most of the books and the movies started with a guy and a time machine, but I prefer to talk about facts more than imaginary stories, even if the most of the time travel stories are imaginary or kind of creepypasta. So I think I should break the rule. There is a story that really took my attention. It started in Japan, July 1954, at the Haneda Airport, or as known, Tokyo International Airport. A Caucasian man with a beard arrived in a plane coming from Europe, whilst his primary language is said to have been French. It has been purported that he spoke Japanese and many other languages as well. So far, there is nothing extraordinary to note. But then, a Japanese officer noticed something strange about this man and checked out his passport. That looks authentic and real. But the issue was that the origins of this passport is from a country called Tord. That was really strange, because there isn't any country known Tord. It doesn't exist. So they took him for interrogation. The next part of the story details that the man trying to convince the immigration officers that Tord does indeed exist. According to the traveler, Tord was located between France and Spain and had by then been in existence for 1,000 years. When shown a map, the man pointed to the area occupied by the Principality of Andorra and was puzzled as to why his country was called Andorra on the map. Both sides refused to give in. The Japanese officers insisted that Tord did not exist, and the traveler argued otherwise. Eventually, the man was held by the officers, and like us, they tried to find out the mystery behind this man. They brought him to a nearby hotel for the night, whilst they conducted their investigations. To ensure that the man did not escape during the night, 2 guards were placed outside his room. The next morning, the officers went to the man's room they realized that he had simply vanished, as there were no signs of his escape. Additionally, all of his personal documents, which may serve as evidence for the story's validity, had apparently disappeared as well. And at this point, the theories started to come out. The first one said that this man is a time traveler and came from the future, but this one doesn't seem logic. The second one is this man came from another dimension. The man from Torrid had somehow passed through a parallel dimension by accident and ended up at Haneda Airport. It has been suggested that, based on this explanation, there is a parallel Earth which is similar to ours, with the exceptions that the location's called Andorra here is known as Dorad over there. Finally, it is also entirely possible that this story is merely an urban legend. The story of the man from Torrid might not have even occurred in the first place, and may have just been the creation of someone's imagination. But there is a story that was behind the secret that made me make this video. The story of a man who appeared in Times Square in New York. Before I continue, can you please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button too, activate the bell, and write a comment. I will make sure to read them all. Well, let us continue. In 1950, at 11:15 p.m., a weird man had shown up in the middle of Times Square. A man of about 20 years of age, dressed in the fashion of the late 19th century. But no one observed how he had arrived there, and he was disoriented and confused, standing in the middle of an intersection. Then was quickly hit and killed by a cab when he tried to cross a street against the traffic lights. The officials at the morgue searched his body and found the following items in his pockets: a copper token for a beer worth 5 cents, beer in the name of a saloon, which was unknown even to all the residents of the area, a bell for the care of a horse and the washing of a carriage, drawn by a livery stable on Lexington Avenue that was not listed in any address book, about $70 in old bank notes, business cards with the name Rudolph Fentz, and an address on 5th Avenue. A letter sent to this address in June 1876 from Philadelphia, a medal for coming third in three-legged race. Further investigations turned up no listings for a Rudolph Fentz in New York City phone directories. The 5th Avenue address listed on the dead man's card had been a business rather than a residence for many years, and no one there had heard of Rudolph Fentz. The deceased's fingerprints matched none on file. Captain Rem continued the investigation and finally found a Rudolph Fentz Jr. in a telephone book from 1939. Rem spoke to the residents of the apartment building at the listed address who remembered Fentz and described him as a man about 60 years who had worked nearby. After his retirement, he moved to an unknown location in 1940. Contacting the bank, Rem was told that Fentz died 5 years before. but his widow was still alive, but lived in Florida. Rem contacted her and learned that her husband's father, Rodolph Vance, had disappeared in 1876, aged 29 years old. He had left the house for an evening walk and never returned. All efforts to locate him were in vain, and no trace remained. Captain Rem checked the missing persons files on Rodolphe Vance in 1876. The description of his appearance, age, and clothing corresponded precisely to the appearance of the unidentified dead man from Times Square. The case was still marked unsolved. Fearing he would be held monthly incompetent, Rem never noted the results of his investigation in the official files. I found also that this story is just an urban legend and imaginary events written in the 1951 in magazines. But one of the craziest things that I found is that researchers from Berlin found a news in April 1951 about this story, and this before 5 months that it had been published for the first time by Jack Finney in 15 September 1951 in his story I'm Scared. They also admit that they found some signs about Rudolph Vance. Anyways, the mystery of time traveling will never be resolved. But in my opinion, I think it's just a legend. Cause why didn't someone came from the future and came to us? That is a real question. So that was the video of today. Take care and see you in the next video.